Hey guys, Mark Holthe here, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, coming to you live once again from our Express Entry Law private Facebook group. It is a bright sunny day. Now, you can see my face here with this beautiful window exposure I have. It's like really bright. Well, that's all right. Often it's really dark depending upon the time in which I actually do these EE live Q&As. But if you look outside here, oh, look at that sun shining. Now you can see there's still snow on the ground, but it is so bright outside, and the warmth coming from the window is a welcome relief. But notwithstanding that nice warm, let's take a look here and see what the temperature is. It's still minus 17. So we can have bright sunny days here and it's still pretty darn cold. In fact, it is too cold for me to be riding my bike. Now, there's been very, very few days lately that I've actually been able to ride because of the weather being so cold. And just the other night, I worked late. It was about 2 a.m. or 3 when I went home, and it was minus 30 degrees Celsius. Really cold. In fact, it was so cold that the window on our car now is broken. So whenever we roll it down, we can't roll it back up. So I have to kind of press on it and force it up and work it. And I keep telling my wife, don't roll the window down, because if it goes down, we're not getting it up. And usually once every day, she tells me, I'm so sorry, I forgot. I just wanted to talk to my kids, the kids when I dropped them off at school. And so I just pushed the window down. And of course, then the window was down until I was able to get back to it. But it's at the stage now where I don't think I can force it up anymore. So unfortunately, the cold does have some ramifications on our vehicles. And I'll also say, if you come from a country that doesn't have high temperature fluctuations, usually the windshield on your car will last a long, long time, subject to maybe the odd rock or something that gets kicked up. But here, oh my goodness, if we get one little speck, one little crack in the windshield of our vehicles, the temperature when it gets really cold and then we warm up our vehicles causes these lovely cracks to go spreading all across our windshield. In fact, I just replaced the windshield on my truck last year, and now this year I had a little tiny crack that I didn't even see. It was hiding underneath the wiper blade. And then the temperature in the vehicle when we're warming it up, and you start driving and the vehicle starts moving, and you bet, brand new windshield, nice crack creeping all the way along the bottom like this. So those are some of the drawbacks of living here in a cold temperature. But like I always say, the one advantage to living in a place where it gets cold in the winter, no bugs. So I don't have to deal with cockroaches or fleas or things like that, generally speaking. So that's one awesome aspect of it. And we get to go tobogganing or sledding, skiing, skating, all those awesome winter sports that we all love, snowshoeing. So anyways, there's the update. And the other day, about 3 weeks ago, when we got home from our holidays in Maui, I decided I need to get on my bike and I need to ride. And the weather was pretty good. But then I worked to the office really late, like 2 a.m. again. And so whenever I do my rides, I record the time and the distance, and then I take a little picture and provide a little comment. Just, it's kind of almost like a journal. And so here's the picture I took when I got home about 3 a.m. Check this out. Yes, bloodshot eyes, totally wore out, exhausted, and I wasn't even trying to fake that. That's exactly how I felt when I got off my bike. So I'm anxiously hoping for the weather to warm up so I can get back on it, so I can lose all of this blubber fat that I've put on all through the winter. I consider myself like a bear. So in winter, I have to kind of bulk up, and then once the winter is over, I have to fatten up for winter. Well, actually, I'm kind of the opposite, I guess I would be, because during the winter is where I put on the weight because I'm not exercising as much. And then in the summer, when it warms up, then I get out and exercise, and then the weight comes off. So I guess I'm opposite to a bear. Anyways, there's the update on Mark Holthe and what he's doing. And many of you who are watching this are probably thinking, what the heck is going on? What is this EE Live Q&A? This guy's just sitting here talking about his life. Well, I made a vow when I started all of this that the people who watch these videos are not going to see some stuffy lawyer who sits here in his desk, in his fancy office, and just imparting his nuggets of goodness and wisdom without you ever knowing who he really was. Well, I vowed that I would never do that. And so I share all the time, lots of stuff about me, so you guys know who you're dealing with. And when you choose to hire a representative, well, you can see the content that I produce every week that spins out through these EE Live Q&As and out on the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel. So welcome all you guys that are watching in YouTube land as a recording. I want you guys to know who it is that you're hiring. So hopefully you see that I know what I'm talking about Express Entry, you know, and the process, but also that I'm a real human being. I have a family, I have children, I have a life, and I'm just like you guys. So anyways, that's the little spiel. That's the little intro. I want everybody who's all jumped on now, once again, to chime in where you're listening from. I absolutely love scrolling through there to see where people are tuning in. And it is unbelievable that I'm here in Lethbridge, Alberta, in my office, and I work and represent people all over the world, like just about every continent for sure. And like there are very few countries that I haven't had a consult with someone or represented someone or reviewed their applications. And it is everything that I hoped my practice would be. But it was not easy getting here. And you guys that remember the early days, and we're talking probably about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer ago, when I first created the Express Entry Law Facebook group, there was only a few people and nobody really knew who I was. You know, I didn't get a lot of consults. People really didn't trust me because they didn't know me. And in all honesty, they probably didn't like me. And so in order for people to actually choose to engage your services, they need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. And if they know, like, and trust you, then they're far more willing to actually trust you with their lives, which is really what immigration representation is all about. So I have had an unbelievable explosion of just opportunities to work with people in the last 6 months especially, all because of the year and a half or longer that I've put into doing this. And I'll give you guys a little bit of insight. I never created this to actually drive more work to my practice. I created this EE Live Q&A to actually help people who were relying on overseas agents and consultants who didn't know what the heck they were doing and were actually destroying their lives. Or worse yet, well, actually, maybe not worse yet, but just as bad, telling people that they qualified for Express Entry, taking their money, and then submitting a profile into the Express Entry pool, knowing that there was no hope of them ever getting an ITA. So I thought, well, I'll create this, I'll share it with people, and then what I'll do is I'll educate them. So whenever they come across an agent over there who wants to accept their money because they're eligible for Express Entry, well, they'll know that their CRS score really isn't high enough to get an ITA, and they won't waste their money. And why did I do that? Well, because generally speaking, a lot of the people initially, now it's a whole different story now, but initially, a lot of the people that came to the site just weren't willing to part with $5,000 Canadian to have Mark represent them. And so because of that, I decided to create the Express Entry Do-It-Yourself Guide. So that complete step-by-step guide was designed to be created so that I could also help people at a cost level that they could afford. So if they weren't going to hire me, then I needed to give them something else to help them navigate their way so they didn't feel like they had to hire one of those overseas agents. And in all honesty, that guide will set someone up far better than actually hiring an agent because it's chock full of every possible scenario, all kinds of information. And I also got an email just recently for someone who said, Mark, where's the self-employed information? I forgot that I included it all under work history, and I had created a separate video just for that, but I forgot to rename it so that people would know that that was the video specifically for people who are self-employed. So anyways, I have to make changes. And I've been making lots of changes, actually updating the videos, and I'm actually moving to a brand new platform. But I'm going to talk about that at the end because we're already just about 10 minutes in, and I've got some really cool things that I'm doing. I'm moving over to a brand new platform for the course where everything is contained in one place. Our group, links to our group, to the YouTube channel, to the Canadian Immigration podcast, which I host. And everything's going to be in one location. And I'm actually in the process of building out a course for study permits. So anyways, that's what I've got on the go. So let's just take a look here. I'm going to log in And let's see if I can find my live feed here. And this is the thing, good old YouTube. The reason that, sorry, good old Facebook. The reason that I spin all these videos out to YouTube is for the simple reason that that often people can't find these after they've been posted. Okay, let's see what we have here as far as people tuning in and where you guys are listening from. All right, so we've got people already asking questions. Okay, Arjun says, hi Mark, take care from the harsh weather. You know what? When you guys are cooking hot and you're scorching hot, 40 degrees Celsius or hotter in your countries, you have what? You've got air conditioning, or you have other ways to stay cool. Well, in Canada, we have heat. We have heat. We have heat in our vehicles. We have heat in our homes. And so it's always toasty warm. In fact, some countries I've stayed in, when it's been in their colder rainy season, often when they don't have internal heating in their homes, they're actually colder in the winter than we are here in Canada. But that's a separate discussion. All right, let's see here. Ali's from Pakistan. Jasdeep says, nice shirt. Thanks, Jasdeep. And Shikanzo says, hi, Mark. Was it all about, please? Hopefully you're understanding. I am going to get to answering people's questions there. Okay, let's see here. Mahesh, good intro. Candace is Trinidad. Awesome. And Candace, I think you know that my son is down in that territory right now serving a mission. He is in Suriname, but he could very well spend some time in Trinidad or possibly even one of the ABC Islands, Curacao, because he's Dutch speaking. At least that's where he's learned. Okay, Shan's from India. And Mahesh says, so what's up on today's agenda? Oh, we're going to get to it, my friend. Anatoly is UAE. Let's see. Sanjeev is India. We've got a bunch of others. Joel's from Pakistan. And then people are already posting their questions, which you got to hold off. Abdi, I hope things are going well for your family and your wife, my friend. Good to have you connecting. You'll have to let me know. Okay, so we've got Abdi's up in Edmonton. And let's see. And then Kranti says, ask the questions once he allows. That is true. You have to hold off till I say, now post your questions, because I'm going to answer. The first ones are the ones that I have in the email here. So, all right, we are all set up here. So let's dive in without further ado and start answering some of these questions that have been asked and sent in advance by our listeners. Okay, first one. This one is from Shadin. And Shadin says, thank you for all your help. I'm currently creating my Express Entry profile for the second time. Okay, my previous profile expired. I'm confused about these questions. So question one, has Shadin applied to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada before? And has Shidden applied for Express Entry before? So let's take a look. So Shidden says, if I applied for a TRV visa 2 years ago and was denied, does that count as applying to IRCC before? The answer is yes. And the next question is, does creating an Express Entry profile previously count as applying for Express Entry? So here's the position, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and then I'm going to jump over here. Hopefully I haven't timed out. So this is actually the live profile right here. And these are the questions that Shitty was asking. So tell us about, and I created this just as a template just for me. So tell us about your previous applications to Canada, country, citizenship, and the country where you currently live. So has, in this case, me, Mark, applied to Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship before? I say yes. So if you're a temporary resident visa, I always say yes. Then when you do that, then it prompts the question, have you applied for Express Entry before? And so if you have a profile that you've submitted, you'll remember that you were actually given a number, an Express Entry file number. And so whenever I have that situation where I'm given a file number, I will actually say yes. There's no harm in doing it. But technically, if it's asking if you've applied for permanent residence before, the answer would be no, because you've only expressed an interest. You haven't actually submitted an electronic application for permanent residence. But what is this question asking? It says, have you applied for Express Entry before? So the way I interpret that is that if you submitted a profile and you've clicked submit and it was live and active in the pool, and you've received a unique file number, then yes, I do it. So I would put yes here. And then in this spot, I would put the E number, whatever your file number is, okay? If you've, in the case of Shidi, Shidinma is the full name. If that's the case, when you have a temporary resident visa that has been refused, you will also have been given a unique client identification number. And so that number right there is the one that you're going to want to keep consistent. If you have a prior visa refusal, and you'll see here, if you have a unique client identification number, please enter it below. There is the possibility that you may not remember it. Well, if you don't remember it, then what happens when you submit a new profile, it's going to create a new UCI number for you as a new person, and then you're going to have two floating out there. So if you click on this button right here, it shows that your UCI is either going to be an 8-digit or a 10-digit number. And so you're going to want to complete that and put that in. So in your case, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. And great question. And I'll make a note of when we started talking about that. And now we'll move on to the next question. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. All right. This one is from Abhishek. And he says, "Hi, Mark. My name is Abhishek. Wishing you and your family a very happy new year. Happy New Year to you. I still consider it a new year, even though we're into February now. This year, I will be applying for the express entry, so hopefully 2019 is going to be good. I hope so too, my friend. I had one question to ask. I'm studying at York University in Toronto and will finish my one-year course in April." Right off the bat, Abhishek, I never ever advise people to only study for 1 year. Never do it, because you're only going to get a 1-year work permit. Okay. He says, "I will have 458 points as soon as I finish." So that's great. So Abhishek already had skilled work experience, already had good education, and just needed an additional, in this case, 15 extra points. So that would have boosted him up from 443 to 458. Interestingly enough, Abhishek, I'm wondering why you needed to take the 1-year course in the first place. Well, no, actually I stand corrected, because you probably had 1 degree and then you took one more educational credential. So you actually got points for both education and Canadian education. So that's probably the difference for you. But you probably ranked pretty high before you even got to Canada. So do you think, and this is the question that Abhishek had, do you think it's a good idea to apply for express entry and a post-grad work permit at the same time? Or should I get my post-grad work permit first and then apply for express entry? There won't be a conflict of interest issue if I apply both together, right? Well, I can tell you the answer for this one right here is 100% apply for them both at the same time. It does not matter in any way. Having an express entry application in the queue and being in Canada and submitting an application to change your conditions from a student to a post-grad work permit holder is not an issue in any way, shape, or form. You will be completely fine. And so in your situation, yes, if the moment you're eligible for express entry, submit your application immediately. Complete your profile, get it in, and then proceed forward. And at the same time, you have a very short window of only 3 months following completion of your education to get your post-grad work permit submitted. So you're not going to wait, you're not going to hesitate, you're going to move forward, and you're going to do both at the same time. Now, I'll say a caveat to all of you other people out there. Abhishek is already in Canada, and that is a huge difference from someone who's outside of Canada. So if you are deciding to file an express entry application, even submitting your profile, remember it's in the system once you've got it submitted, understand that that could have a negative impact on whether a visa officer in another country is willing to grant you temporary entry to Canada, either with a temporary resident visa, or a visitor visa as it's called, or applying for a work permit, or even coming to study in Canada. Each of those, the fact that you've applied for express entry, an officer could use that as an indicator that maybe they don't think you're going to go home and choose to refuse your visa. Now, every application is different. Every application is different. And I reiterate that twice because someone who's applying in Pakistan for a visitor visa is going to have an entirely different experience than someone who is applying from, say, South Africa or Nigeria, or one of the countries in South America or Central America. So understand that you can't always assume everybody's situation is going to be the same. But if you are truly wanting to apply for express entry, but at the same time come and visit as a tourist or apply to come and study, then I highly recommend for you guys that you actually choose to apply for those visas before you ever submit a profile into the pool, because that will give you the greatest chance of success. All right. Okay, great question, Abhishek. Okay, Manish here, and I'll try to get the timing right on these now. Manish says, hi, Mark, thank you for help. My query is regarding reference letters. I've worked in 2 IT companies, and I've got a reference letter from one of them. In the first company, I've worked 1 year. However, in trying to get reference letter for the second one to claim the 2 additional job experiences, that's what he's trying to do right now. So please guide me. How should I go about getting it from the second company? And here's the important part for you guys all to know, and many of you are in this exact same situation, so listen up. The second company, I'm still working there presently. So that's the issue. The question here, should it state Manish worked for us from January 2007 till date? And would that be sufficient to claim the above mentioned 2 years experience, considering it's already 24 months plus in the current company? So does it need to be like start date of job and end of job? In my case, there's no end date. So Manish's question here is a really easy one, because there's no issues with the employer wanting to give him the reference letter. But understand, when you are currently working for the company, you're going to put that it is your current position. And then what that means is, up until the point where you receive your invitation to apply, your work history is going to continue to accumulate in your profile for that company. If you put an end date, then that means it will stop on that day, and the comprehensive ranking system will only look at the time period in which you've stated, beginning and end. So, Manish, if you list that this is your current position, and you continue to, I think I've probably timed out here. I'm just going to see if I can actually show you guys. It's always good when I can demonstrate. Let's see if I've timed out. No, I didn't. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So if you go to your work history and I click on Start Form here, this is fun. I should do this more often. And you go down to work history. It asks right here, do you have any work history? Yep. And then it asks, since when? And so if this is your job and you said to 2017 January, here is where the magical button is. So if this is your current position, you're always going to click, this is my current job, and then see what disappears, the end date. And that means that your work experience is going to continue to run. If, however, this isn't, then you're going to put your end date, and if it was December 2018, then it's only going to calculate that period of time. And I'll even give you another little tip. So do you see how there's no specific day? It doesn't say January the 1st right here. All it says is January of 2017. Well, that means that the calculator, it's stupid. In other words, it doesn't pay attention to the by the day. Personally, I think IRCC, well, I know there's reasons why they didn't, but it would have been helpful for people if there was an actual day, but there isn't. So what it means is it's actually giving credit to me for January the 1st of 2017, even when maybe I started January the 31st. So I could be getting credit for that whole month. And the same thing here. Maybe I only worked to December the 1st of 2018. Well, it's giving me credit to all the way to December 31st. So technically speaking, it could potentially give me up to 2 whole months more than I actually worked, just because of the way that these questions are asked. So there is the answer to that one. And I hope that one was helpful, Manish. I really need to bring my A game, because you guys are asking great questions and it's so easy. You go online and you look at all of those forums, you follow the other Facebook pages, and people ask questions like this, and then someone throws out a simple answer. So you can see here, the question was, it says here, please guide me, how should I go about, should it state Manish worked from us from January 2007 till date? That's what the question is. Should I fill out my profile so that it states that Manish worked for us from January 2007 till date? That's the question that will be posted on a Facebook page. And then guess what someone will answer? Because they're so helpful. Yes. That's it. They just answer yes. No explanation why or anything. But guys, this is express entry law, okay? This is run by an immigration lawyer. And my job is not only to just give you information, but show you, back it up. Where did it come from? Okay? So there you go. Cool. Let's move on. Next question is from Ahmad. And Ahmad is asking questions about proof of funds. So let's see what he says here. Dear sir, well, thank you. That's very formal. I have some concerns about my proof of settlement funds letter. I've obtained a letter from my bank. As per IRCC requirements, okay, let's take a look. Let's see, where is he? Where is he getting these IRCC requirements from? He's getting them from his profile, or I should say from his completeness. When he's doing his electronic application for permanent residence, he's doing it. We'll put it right here. I know this is the one. I'll move here and then I'll talk because I can't do two things at the same time. You can get the information from your personalized document checklist. And if you click on the little information or radio button, just like if I'm here, you can see every once in a while, is there anything here? Let's go back up to occupation. You'll see a little question mark here. And if you click on it, it'll open up an explanation. So all in the work, in the document checklist, if you click on the instructions, it does give you information. But this page right here, the completeness check, is the one that I love the most because it goes through and actually explains what an officer is looking for when they themselves are assessing whether or not your proof of funds or whatever the document is actually works. And let's take a look down here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom first. And let's see. So this page was last updated June 26th, 2018. Why? Because that's when any really substantive change actually occurred. So we're going to scroll back up here, see if I can find my proof of funds. This is your most important resource, guys. This is where you get the information. Oh, I guess I lost it. Let's find it again here. It's always tricky. There we go. Okay, so this is where Ahmed is getting his information from. So he says, and I'll just highlight it for all of you fine people. Let's close this out. There's the information, okay? So it says, I have some concerns about my proof of settlement funds letter. I have obtained a letter from my bank. As per IRCC requirements, it has a few things missing. My average balance from the past 6 months. Okay, so it's missing average balance for the past 6 months right there. Printed on the letterhead and stamped by the bank, but not signed by anyone. Is this sufficient? Okay, this is a good question. So, applicant should provide an official letter from one or more financial institutions that lists all current bank and investment accounts, as well as outstanding debt such as credit card debts and loans. So those of you who hire some overseas agent or consultant who says, oh, you just need to provide the letter, the bank letter for whatever bank has all your money in it. You don't need to worry about anything else. Don't listen to them because that's not specifically what IRCC is asking. They're actually asking any outstanding debt, such as credit card debts and loans. Okay? All right, so now let's take a look. They must be printed on on letterhead. I better get a drink here. Okay, I'm back. Must be printed on letterhead of the financial institution and must include the applicant's name, the contact information of the financial institution, the account numbers, the date each was opened, the current balance, blah, 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 blah. Ahmed, do you see what's missing here? Do you see? Do you see anywhere here that it must have a signature of someone from the bank? The answer is no. So if they're using an official seal and that's what they have on yours, then as far as I'm concerned, you are just fine, my friend. All right? Okay. And then the next question, because Ahmed I'm feeling generous today. He actually asked 2 questions. And the second one, it also relates to proof of funds. He said, the letter does not mention any liabilities. All right, guys, lists all current bank and investment accounts, as well as outstanding debts, such as credit cards and loans. Guys, those are liabilities. Okay. So I'm thinking to attach, so the letter does not mention my liabilities. I'm using a credit card from the same bank, so I'm thinking to attach the credit card statement for the past 6 months. But the problem is that the bank does not give me a stamped copy of the credit card statement, as they say that all the credit card statements can only be obtained online. So can I submit to IRCC the e-statements of my credit card for the past 6 months? Will that be acceptable? 100%. 1000% yes. Because credit card statements come online. Sometimes they may come mailed to you, but banks traditionally have no control over even the credit card statements that come, even if they are, like, for example, in Canada, a Scotia Visa or a Bank of Montreal Visa or whatever it is. So no, that is a perfect strategy, and I would strongly encourage everybody to do that. Yes, because you can't get anything else. And understand these requests that IRCC has right here, as we've got on the screen, many banks will not produce the average balance. So the way you deal with that is I'll often include the last 6 months of bank statements. And understand, if IRCC wants to change that and they're tired of officers having to look through all these bank statements, well, guys, then make something possible that's actually something that a client can do in every circumstance. So if you're asking for a letter that says the current balance as well as the average balance for the past 6 months, if IRCC makes that a requirement, well, it would be nice if it was actually possible for everyone to do that. And in many cases, it's not. It's impossible. Your bank doesn't issue those. So that's a separate discussion maybe I'll bring up with IRCC. All right. Okay. But you know what? They're trying to do the best they can for everybody. Okay. And then the last one. Wow, 3 questions about proof of funds. I think I might need to retitle this to address all of these things because Ahmed, you got like basically a $210 consultation here, my friend. For the bank's phone number and email, I have taken the bank, the business card of the branch manager, and I shall attach it with the proof of funds letter. Is that okay? Sure, it's fine. You can do that. Technically speaking, if there is no phone number and email on it, then that's a good way of addressing it. It does say that you should, on the letterhead of the financial institution, as well as information, the contact information, which is address, telephone number, and email address. So you do the best that you can, and then where you can't, you fill in with whatever else will work for you. Wow, that was like 25. That was like just about 10 minutes answering that question. I'm definitely entitling this one All About This. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next question. And this fine question, I'll make a note of when it's starting. Okay, this is from Tavleen. Dear sir, in last Tuesday, you addressed the question about old passport. I saw your video. Well, that's great. Maybe Tavleen is... could be watching on the EE Live Q&A or via the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel. I came to know that no need to upload old passport. That is 100% correct. I have following questions. 1, in Express Entry application under Documents section, Passport Travel, it is written that any pages with visa stamps. Yes, that's true. I'm confused that this is for only valid passport or both. No, this is only for the current passport that you have. That current passport plus any pages that have visa have stamps or that have marked pages. Okay. So no, you don't need to include all your visa stamps from your old passport, because effectively what you're asking, Tavleen, is, do I just omit my personal information page? You know, the one with my photo and the expiry date and all that kind of stuff. Do I just omit that, but then I still include all the rest of the information for the old passport? No. You don't need to. You do not. All right. Okay, next one. Okay, I was on deputation for work in 5 countries where I lived sometimes 5.5 months and sometimes 2 to 3 months, and sometimes frequent visits 2 to 3 months in the same country. For all these, I was on a business visa provided by an employer. I want to know that, is there any negative if someone was on deputation with these business visas? Will CIC consider a work experience if someone was on a business visa when a deputation by the company? They don't care what your status was. At the end of the day, you just have to have confirmation that you've actually completed and accomplished the work that the reference letter says you did. That's it. They don't ask at that stage anything about whether or not you were working on a visa or whether you were a permanent resident. They just don't. All right. So good question. All right. And the final question here, this one is This one is from Amish, and Amish states the following. I have a question which I want to ask you on Express Entry process. I have a Canadian experience of 11 months and 21 days in the last 10 years. Ah, you're short. I had a work visa for 1 year, and as per my company policy, I should leave the country at least 1 week before the visa expires so that there is chance of any kind of visa breach. Due to this, I just fall short of 1 year experience by 9 days. I worked for the same Canadian client from offshore. My question is, can I claim for 1 year Canadian experience in this situation? Amish, this is a great question, and it flows into a number of different things. And guys that are faithfully waiting, and I see you guys that are actually watching the video live right now, after this one, then I will answer all of your questions and I will make it totally worth your while. So thanks for sticking around with me. Okay, so Amish, the rule, and if we go right back to CEC eligibility, you know what it is, and I think everybody else does too, but we'll for those who are just tuning in and haven't watched this before, the Canadian Experience class itself, the eligibility, has certain minimum requirements. And the minimum requirements is that you need to have the minimum language ability, which if you are a NOC B or higher, it's a CLB level 5 is all. And if you are a CLB, if you are a skill level A or O, it's a CLB 7. So you need to have that. And if you have that, then it falls to this. Have at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada in the last 3 years before you apply. So yours says in the last 10 years. So understand, if within the last 10 years, if you're trying to qualify through the Canadian Experience class, then you're not going to meet that minimum requirement in order to be able to claim eligibility under the Canadian Experience class. But Amish, your question is actually quite interesting because you're not in Canada anymore. And ultimately, this is for eligibility for the Canadian Experience class. And so your question is, can you count this work experience towards the Federal Skilled Worker Program? And my answer is yes. As long as this work experience was obtained on a work permit, it's work experience that you completed. Now, will you get credit for 1 full year? That's up to an officer. I think in many cases you probably wouldn't because you haven't met at least 1 year. And you can see here, it's 1 year of full-time work, and then it goes through the most. For part-time work, it says this, we don't count any hours worked above 30 hours a week. So the 1 year is actually 1 year, and that's why they bolded it here, okay? So the most important thing for you to realize is that you could get credit for 11 months. Maybe that's something that works together with something else that's your primary occupation. But in terms of having 1 year of Canadian work experience, you don't have it. You're only at 11 months. And that's where you get that first additional 35 points, is being able to show that you've actually worked full-time in Canada for a full year. And it's a calendar year. Like it's one 12-month period. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's always up to the discretion of an officer. They can decide whatever they want. And if you put the information in, as you've told me here, that 1 year period that you've indicated in Canada, well, it doesn't ask for the very day. So it's entirely possible that if you entered this information into your profile, that they would give you credit for 12 months. And then that's going to mess up everything. They're probably going to draw you under the Canadian Experience class versus the Federal Skilled Worker Program. And, I guess it ultimately depends on when that work experience actually happened, whether it was in the previous 3 years, as it says right here, or whether it was the 10 years. So Amish, great question. And there isn't a real exact answer, but I'm thinking probably not. You might be able to claim 11 months for work experience, but you wouldn't be able to claim the full year. So not sure how much it would be able to help. All right. So that is it. You guys have been super patient and you've stuck with me, and we've got lots of good questions that have been answered. Now I'm going to shift back here to our actual site and we'll start answering questions. Okay, so we'll start here. Let's see. So we've got some people. Okay, Syed says that he's from Pakistan MD says MD from Bangladesh. Looks like they're talking back and forth. Abdi is inviting someone to join the live video, which I really appreciate. Precious O says, hi, Mark. Please, could you explain your silver plan in details? Does it entails you being present when an individual is doing it step by step in the process? Thank you. You know, Precious, I was going to save this for the end, but the reality is 100% the silver plan is me. It is me actually working with you. And I'm trying to remember in our, let me just shift back here and go up to, I'll share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. In the top announcements, obviously first you'll see this awesome post by Igor. What an awesome guy. I love working with people like that. So there's Igor. And then in here, we've got our past EE Live Q&As, notifications, more information. That was from Maui. But right here, guys, is where I have a breakdown of the services that I offer. And so when I go into here and it talks about all the services that I offer, there is a very, very clear, I want you guys to understand that this silver plan, it says here, it starts with a 30-minute initial consult by phone, Skype, in person. Then I developed your immigration strategy so we make sure that you actually are going to get the ITA. Because if not, then it never goes any further than the consult, and that's what you pay for, is just the consult. I assess your eligibility. We discuss any unique circumstances. I give you unlimited access to the guide, which is basically a $497 value. Unlimited email support as you complete your process, and I endeavor to always respond within 48 hours, but I do that even faster. Then there's 2 more additional 15-minute phone consults in preparation for actually answering any other questions or anything that you need, and then a full application review and in-person or screen share session to ensure that everything is completed. So if we go here, back to here, it's probably just about timed out. I go through this process. Oh, I'm sure it is going to be timed out. Let's see. No, it did time out. We actually do exactly this. I share my screen with the person, and now this is the profile, but the EAPR is the same way. We go in, we open up the thing, we look at it, we say, okay, name, yep, that's all correct. Then we go to the next phase. We look at the personal details. Okay, birth, is that correct? No stone is unturned. We go here, I go to the passport. We take a look and make sure that the passport information that's been uploaded is 100% correct. I review it, we match it up. We go through the whole process. Family members, for instance, do you have family? How many? How much money do you have? Do you have relatives in Canada? Yes, no. So we go through all of these things systematically. And in fact, when I have people that purchase the silver plan, and I'm actually going to invite a few of those people on just to describe their system, describe the process. I actually went back, and if they retained me after getting their ITA, I went back and looked at their profile to make sure that the information they put in there was correct and to make sure there was consistency with what was in the EAPR. And then once that was done, I made sure that they had a Dropbox folder where they could upload all their documents to. And then we went through each of the documents together. And even, guys, to the extent where we went through the actual document checklist and uploaded all of the documents together to the point where the person is then given the ability to go enter their own credit card information in and click submit. And so I don't know how to describe the silver plan other than to say that it is freaking awesome. You know, I honestly feel like it's almost better than the full representation, because you guys maintain control of your own portal, your own MyCIC account. You have access to everything. You don't have to rely on anyone else to give you information on your file. You don't have to rely on someone else hoping that the information they actually uploaded was correct. And believe me, I've had so many consults with people who had to pry the password and log in, even when it was their own MyCIC, because their crooked agent or consultant didn't actually set it up in a rep portal because they were probably illegal. They weren't authorized. And so they set it up in the person's own MyCIC account, but they retained the login and password. And then they extorted them the money. We're not going to give anything or submit anything till you pay us in full. Well, that's fine. If you're an authorized representative and you truly are providing a service, then yeah, you deserve to be paid for it. but many times people are held ransom. And when the portal is actually uploaded and the information is put in, they don't even give the client an opportunity to look to make sure everything was correct. And it's full of errors. And so many times I've had clients come back to me and tell me, oh, it was just riddled with errors to the point where I had to, once I got the profile back, they took my money, wouldn't give it back, and then I had to cancel that profile and redo a new one. I've actually represented a number of people in that exact situation. So I love the silver because you get all of me, no one else. We get you set up, you complete all your information. And in fact, when a representative is getting you to, you hire a representative, you're going to be sending all of that information to them anyways. So it's not even like you're completing the information yourself anyway. So there's no big difference really in completing some form that they give you that they then populate and then make mistakes when they're actually completing the online form. You are submitting your own information into your own portal, and then you get Mark Holthe going through systematically with you as long as it takes to make sure that it is right. And that is why I love the silver plan. All right. Okay, so let's go back now and let's see who's next on our list. But that was a pretty awesome question. Very, very good question. Now, let's see if I can find our site again, because once again, it doesn't matter whether it's live or otherwise. I'm always trying to search to find it. Okay, I found it. Okay, so you faithful people that are still hanging around, let's get to some more questions from you. Okay, let's see if I can find where we left off. And forgive me if I have missed your question, but let's see. Okay, so here's Precious. I'm going forward from Precious. So Mario says, hi, Mark, I'm from Mexico. Just one question. I was a refugee claimant 5 years ago, so I wanted to go back to Canada. I have a job offer that I have any chance to be granted a work visa or residence. Please need to know. Thank you. Permanent residence? It's possible. Work permit? Highly unlikely. Any failed refugee claimant, even the time passes, that deportation, it becomes a permanent bar. And so you need an authorization to return to Canada, Mario. And if you're applying for another work permit or a work permit to come, highly unlikely that it's going to be granted. It's not impossible, but the fact that you made a refugee claim in Canada is often enough to kill any opportunity you have to come back as a temporary resident. But if you qualify through express entry, then it just comes down to getting an authorization to return. And there's also no guarantee with that, but officers do have the discretion to grant it. In any circumstance, really. But when it comes to temporary, yeah, it's going to be really tough. Okay, Arjun says, need one immediate help from you. Okay, my spouse's PCC from India, current country, is expiring on February the 16th. All my documents are ready for submission post-ITA. What do you suggest? Will it be a problem or lead to rejection? Shall I go ahead and file my post-ITA application, the EAPR, and later on when I get a new PCC for her, I can upload via web form? Arjun, simple answer. No, you do not file your application. Don't do it. Get a new one, then submit it. And ultimately, you haven't indicated how long you have till your time is up, the 60-day period. But in every case, unless you have got an ITA and you have no hope of getting another one and your time is running out and there isn't time to get a PCC, in every case, I'd advise you to go and get one. Never submit it with one that's nearing expiry. Okay? All right. Sonia says, Mark, I had withdrawn my profile, never got ITA, and created a new one. Just jump down here. But never mentioned about it in my new profile, as you said in the start of the video, though both are under the same GC key. Should I be worried what to do? If you haven't received an ITA yet, then just go back in. So if I share my screen again and I'm here, let's see if I can find there. Okay, you have the ability to go back in when you're going through your profile and to go back and to actually update any information that you have. So in your personal details section, you're going to go in here and you're just going to go back to your immigration history and you're going to update this. Okay. So That's what I would recommend that you do. All right. Okay. Next question. This one, excuse me. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. You guys ask questions so fast. Okay. Hasham says, I need lots of water. I'm pretty dry today. Excuse me. Okay, Hasham says, hi Mark, my West report says my bachelor's degree is from a non-recognized university. They have downgraded me to secondary school certificate. What are my chances under the Federal Skilled Worker Program? If you need that education, which of course you do, it's zero. Your chances are zero. If West doesn't accept it, then go back to the other ECA agencies and see if another one will. Okay, so as you guys know, and I'll share my screen again, all you need to go is ECA, EE. We'll see if agency, see if that works. Okay, where can I get an educational credential assessment? So I go here, and then I scroll down, and here are the ones that are most common. Obviously, if you're a physician or a pharmacist, use these other ones. But in all honesty, you've got a choice. If Wes isn't playing ball with you, then you've got 4 other options here that you can try to see if one of them will recognize your education. And you can try all of them if you want to. It doesn't matter. All right. So there is that. Good question. Okay. Okay. Anatolius says, Dear Mark, I hope you're having a good day. By the way, I bought your EE guide and it's perfect. Good job. Anatoly, do you know what? That is so kind of you to say. So here's the deal, guys. I'll share something with you that happened to me just recently. One of the subscribers of the guide from Shanghai sent me an email, I think it was Sunday, and said, boy, I wish I could find the email because that would be really awesome to actually read it to you. I wonder if I can find it. Let's see. It's worth finding. I found it already. Awesome. Okay. So here's the email that I got back from my dear friend. So he says here, Dear Mark, I would like to apply for full refund because you just read everything from the website, which I found it is not useful for me. Thank you, Eric. Well, the reality is this individual here, I responded to him and I said, well, obviously you didn't look at all the videos, but I offer a full money-back guarantee, a 30-day money-back guarantee. And so I refunded everything that Eric had, that he had paid me. And I went in and took a look to see how much Eric had actually used of the videos. And what happened was he went through and looked at every single video for the individual application. For an individual applicant, both the profile and the EAPR. So I don't know ultimately if he used it or how much he did or how much he didn't, but I want to share something with you guys here. And this is for anyone else who's wondering about the course, wondering about whether it's actually worth it or not. So on this page, I'm going to share my screen. This is the landing page. You can enroll in the course. Those of you who are looking for a discount because you're here and you're watching the video, it's regular $497 US. I'm going to open this up, and if you go right here to add a coupon and you type in EEDIY 50% and click apply, you get $248.50 off, 50% off. So that's for all of you guys just for being here. But I want to go back and I want to show you something. And this is maybe what Eric didn't appreciate. In this, oh, looks like I jumped the gun, got going ahead too much. Go back here. In this actual guide, and I'm going to click in here and I'm going to scroll right down so you guys can see. So this is actually what it looks like. So learning the basics, and I actually went and I just started revising brand new videos. So I just created a new one just yesterday. What is Express Entry? I updated this one and created a nice brand new one here. Because obviously over time you always have to update these because circumstances change. So anyways, I've been creating a bunch of new videos, but that's not what I'm getting at. So in this process here, learning the basics is module 1. Preparing to submit your Express Entry profile is module 2. Then how to complete the profile, which is really, guys, everything. It's a step-by-step walkthrough of every every part of this process right here. From start to finish, everything is all right in here. And I go through every little piece, every little section of this whole process. Looks like I've maybe finally timed out with this. It's quite a miracle that it actually lasted that long. Anyways, so I go through every section. You can see it corresponds. Personal details of the principal applicant, contact details, study and language. And then I go into complete EAPR forms once you get your ITA right here. And so Eric went through all of these videos, and that's totally fine. And for whatever reason, he felt that there was no value added, and that I just read what was ever on the website. Personally, I don't know how he could come to that conclusion, because the whole process of going through, I'm giving you tips and strategies and explaining things that are not on the website. But that's all fine. But what Eric did not do is actually go down here. And yes, the document checklist has got a bunch of stuff in there. It's this member resource section. And guys, this is so full of information that is so far beyond what the government offers. Like the top 5 things to do before you submit your Express Entry profile, the top 5 reasons you're deemed ineligible, essential documents, top 5 reasons your application is refused, and then really, really awesome tools like how to claim work experience for Express Entry. So when you click on here and you download this, you'll see they've got little numbers beside them, because this right here is a very, very, very exclusive link to videos that I send to just my clients. And so in this video, just like this, it opens up in YouTube in a very private section. We'll skip the ads now that they're doing on my videos because people are actually watching them. But in this video here, I go through everything, all aspects of the process. We go through the website. We talk about the minimum requirements, everything that I've shared with you here. But then I go into great detail all about work history, self-employed, and everything is all built into here. Okay. And so that's just one aspect. But all of the member resource section is full of tons of other unique things that aren't really appropriate for putting in the actual lessons as I'm going through, because not everything applies. So I'm not going to spend hours explaining in one of these sections this very nuanced little piece of information that only applies to maybe 5% of the people. So what I do instead was I created this member section. So how to claim work experience, how to increase my language score, how do I know if I qualify, how to increase my chances of getting an ITA. That's a huge one. That's full of tons of stuff. What is a job offer? Why are they so hard to get? What if I don't have proof of funds? How to ensure your police clearances are correct? That's a super important one. How dependent family members can mess up your application? Another good one. How to complete the EAPR forms for a non-accompanying spouse? That's a separate section in and of itself, right? And so people just have to, and there was no other way that I could really structure this than to just build these. And I'm not going to waste time. You can see I'm still scrolling. Like there's just a ton of other videos, and Eric didn't even look at those. And so I just want to point out to everybody who is accessing the guide and subscribing to it that there is a ton of resources that are only member access only. Some are resources that I've created in other avenues and just pulled them all into one nice, easy place to find. But the reality is the course itself is full of things that are most definitely not just regurgitated from the government website. So, all right. I will jump back now and let's continue forward. Hopefully that makes sense. Anatolius, thanks so much. And I really appreciate the feedback. And the reality is there's about 5,000 other testimonials, ones you can search on the site as well. Okay, so good job, he says. My question is about police clearance certificates. I'm a bit confused about how it should look like. So my question is, how should I present the translation of the police certificate to IRCC? Thank you. Anatolius, I'm going to make a note right here. Translation of documents. And the reason I'm making that is because I'm going to create a separate video specifically to this that I'm going to put within the course. And getting your translations correct is one of the more difficult things when you're trying to upload documents to Express Entry that are not in English or French. So we're going to go back here, Anatolius, and we're going to look right here right here, and we're going to search for translation of documents. Your police certificate. There's a couple different things that you have to realize, but when it comes to the police certificate, it has to comply with the specific requirements on the IRCC website. So maybe I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump over here, and I'm going to show you right here. Okay, so we'll take police certificates, and I'm going to click right here, how to get a police certificate. This is the country. You're going to go for the country that you want to search. Let's take something tricky like Pakistan. That's one of the more difficult places. Find out how to apply. You need to choose which country you're getting the clearance from and make very sure that you've accomplished and you've completed everything here. So it always says, do you need one? Yes. And then what does it look like? It's a police character certificate or police clearance certificate. Great. How to get it? It depends on whether you are a citizen of Pakistan and, as a citizen, whether you're living there or whether you're somewhere else. In larger cities, here's the instructions. In smaller cities, here's the instructions. If you live in FATA, here's the instructions, okay? If you live outside of Pakistan, you can go to the nearest embassy or consulate. If you have relatives, then they can do this process. And then it goes through if you're not a citizen. And so every country has this basic information listed in it. So starting point is you're going to get that police certificate exactly as it is described in the instructions from IRCC. Then if it comes back in a language other than English or French, this is the important part. One, you must have the English or French translation. So it's got to be translated. And you need to have an affidavit from the person who completed the translations. That affidavit says, I am official translator. I have translated this police certificate from whatever language to English, and I can attest that it's an official, proper translation. And then a certified photocopy of the original document. So you're not just going to upload a color copy, a scanned color copy of the actual document. You need that to be notarized or notarized and certified. So what does that mean? It means that there's someone who's in authority to say, I've saw the original and I know that this copy here is a true copy of the original document, and they swear that statement. Okay? So that is what you're looking for. It's critical that you do that, because I've seen people who've got their applications refused because they didn't provide a certified photocopy. And many people mess that up because they assume that just a color copy is good enough. And one of the worst problems that I have is that some people do it and then they ultimately get their application, or they don't get a certified photocopy, and then they get their application approved. And then guess what? They go tell the whole world, oh, you don't need to have it certified. A regular copy is fine. It's worked so well for myself that you don't need to waste your time doing that. Well, that is totally wrong. So ignore what other people have done. Ignore whether or not they had success doing things a certain way, and just follow the instructions. All right? Great question. I love it. These are great. Like, they're just so full of good information. If people would just hang around long enough. We're at an hour right now, and I'm going to go a little bit longer, but I know I really need to break these down into smaller pieces, and maybe one day I'll have the financial resources to actually take these videos and split them up. But unfortunately, right now, this is what you got. Okay, and the goal for me is to just help you guys. That's all I want to do, is just give you the answers you can trust. Okay, Ali says, oh, truthful in the application. Okay, so Ali asked a question last time about an issue where he was detained in Saudi Arabia because he was out late at night. And then as far as the statutory declaration, he was asking for the specific questions for the statutory declaration. And he says, now I want to be as truthful in my application as possible. Should I declare the above mentioned in the statutory declaration while filing the EAPR? The exact wording of the statutory declaration is... Okay, yeah. So basically it asks if you've ever been arrested or charged, or there's a whole bunch of different things, but the key is arrested. And that's the one, you may not have been officially arrested or detained, but I'll be honest, in your situation, Ali, I want you to actually disclose it. So just disclose what happened and then explain that you were just detained. And so you said, has Ali been detained, incarcerated, or put in jail? There's actually another word, arrested. And that is essentially the one that I feel you should, that you make you disclose it. Okay? Even though your record doesn't show anything when you got your police certificate back. Okay, Mohammed, you've got a very long question here. I'll see what I can do to answer this one. Dear Mr. Mark, thanks for the great work. I had to travel to my home country with a layover, Abu Dhabi Airport. To make the best of the layover, I decided to apply for a 96-hour transit visa online. I submitted a complete application to the government portal, the UAE government portal, got an email to upload my itinerary and scan of a valid visa from one of the countries, USA, Canada, Australia. I've got an Australia permanent visa and I was willing to upload. But when I searched for the tickets, the prices for the tickets with longer layovers hiked. The ticket that I could afford had only 5 hours of layover. 5 hours is not enough to visit Abu Dhabi, so I decided not to proceed with my application. There was no withdraw option, so I left the application as it was. A month later, to my surprise, I got an email saying my visa application has been rejected. If you think this is a visa rejection, should I mention it in my application while answering the following question? Has Mohammed ever been refused a visa or permit, denied entry, or ordered to leave Canada or any other country? Any other country is the critical part. The answer is yes. Even though it was something that was more of an administrative refusal because your application timed out or whatever it was, you're always going to disclose it. Yeah, I always err on the side of disclosing. And if you got the letter indicating that it was a refusal or rejection, then clearly it was. Whether your intention was just to walk away and not to complete the application because there was no way to shut it off, you're still going to post it. Okay, Jazzdeep, Mark, do add some more ways for payment for consultations and other services with you, maybe. Okay, Jazzdeep, I know it's not easy. And the reality is, if you want to immigrate to Canada, you have to pay with a credit card or a payment gateway that works for immigration. And if you are unable to pay my fees or book a consult with me via credit card, then you're not going to be able to apply through Express Entry either and pay your fees. So because of that, that's why I haven't gone to great lengths to try to accommodate for that. So, but I understand that more people would probably retain me if it was easier for them to pay. All right. Shaw says, I have 4 years of full-time job experience in 2 companies as a lead software engineer and senior web developer. I also have 5 years of freelance work experience, and I've done many project-based freelance work. Should I mention my freelance experience or should I skip it? Well, short answer, Shaw, is skip it. If you've got 4 years that are full-time work experience within the past 10 years, you include only that in your personal history. Don't waste time with your freelance. But in your personal history section, that's where you're going to put it. So going back, like I said, this one I think is frozen now, so I don't think I can get out of here. It is. It took too long, my little template. And it's too hard to go back and try to show you guys. So sorry, I'm just talking to myself here. I know I'm not showing you my screen. But the reality is, yeah, you're only going to put the work history that you want to claim points for. Freelance is a pain, and you're only maxing out at 3 years anyways, unless you always pay attention to the Federal Skilled Worker Program eligibility to make sure that you're still meeting that 67-point threshold with the 3 years only. That's what you need to focus on. But yeah, for that, yeah, I wouldn't waste time with that. But in the personal history, for the past 10 years, you are going to list your freelance work if that fits within the last 10 years. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, whether your bank account has your freelance project statements as well. You just don't need to do it. If you can get reference letters from the previous employers, then that's all you need to do. Okay, Arad says, hi Mark, I have my profile in the EE with CRS 436. Oh, that is so close. My current employer is applying for a work permit. Will this add any points to my overall score? Also, what is my scope for PNP? Okay, I can't do a PNP assessment for you, Arad. That's just not, that's not possible. But in terms of your points, yeah, if you've got a work permit for Canada and your employer is applying for it, then yeah, you can get up to an extra 35 points for 1 year of Canadian work experience. If your employer is Canadian and they obtain a labor market impact assessment to support your work permit, then you can claim an extra 50 points for that job offer. So good question. Arjun says, thanks a ton, Mark. God bless. You're welcome, my friend. Sonia says, updated. Thanks. You're very welcome. Hasham says, I will try my luck with other ECA evaluating agencies. Thanks. Can you please explain about your paid consultation service? P.S. You're awesome. Hasham, it's really simple. So if I share my screen with you, it's really simple. So you go here and I'll just find it right here. You type in this link, which is a link to my my firm consult page, and I'll just post it right in the comment section here, and it will also be posted in the in the description. I wonder if I can do it live while I'm doing it. I wonder if maybe I'll mess up the feed here. I've never tried to actually update it. No, I better not do that. I'm gonna mess it up is what I'm gonna do here. I know I don't want to end the video. Oh, what have I done? I guess rule number 1, don't try to update things in the middle of the process. Let's just try to refresh it. Cancel. I know it's feeding live, but now I've accidentally tried to update it right in the middle of, wow, this is close. Okay, I think I'm back. Oh, maybe I'm froze. No, I think I'm still back. You can see me, but the screen froze. Now the question is, have I wrecked it for everybody in my earnest desires to be comprehensive? I'm not moving too much here. Oh yeah, I'm good. Okay, I know you guys are still following me. Sorry about the confusion. Okay, so let's go back here. So so when it comes to the consult, we'll switch back to here. This right here is where you schedule a consultation. Okay, and so you enter your name. You indicate right here. Where did you hear about us? You're going to put the Facebook Express Entry Law private group. You're going to put in, I'd like to book a consult with Mark, just like that. And obviously your name, I'll put my name in here like this. And then your email address, whatever you want to put as your email address. And then your phone number. And then current immigration status in Canada. That helps me to know if you're not in Canada or otherwise. So you can put other. And then, yeah, and then you send it. And then we will contact you. And when it comes to my consultations, my hourly rate is for consults is $200 for a 30-minute consult. And so in that time period, you send your questions to me in advance. You schedule, I give you a link to my booking software, and then you can select the time period that works the best for you. And that's basically how it works. I get a credit card in advance, and I run that credit card immediately before the consult. And the reason I do that is because I had many consults with people overseas who I tried to run the credit card after and it didn't work, and they weren't terribly motivated to actually pay me after the fact. So because I'm dealing with international clients, I actually run the $200 consult. It's actually $210 because we charge sales tax here, 5% sales tax. All right, so there's the question. So that's basically how you do it. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, okay, updated, thanks. Okay, Ankush says, is your official site stringham.ca? That's my official law firm website. Yes, this is the law firm that I work for in Canada. And you can see we have just about 40 lawyers practicing all areas of Canadian law. All right, Sanjeev says, hello, Mark. While creating EE profile, do we need to update education since 10th standard? I'll be honest, Sanjeev, I'm not sure exactly how it works for the education systems in your country. So 10th standard, I'm not sure what that is. But I can tell you that when it comes to education, you only need to list the education that you're going to get an ECA for, an educational credential assessment. I'm assuming 10th standard is kind of like high school. And if that's the case, no, you only need to list the education in your study history section that you're going to get an educational credential assessment for. Okay, Ankush says, hi Mark, in your hourly consultation, do you review documents and complete profile? No, I do not. That actually is the separate service. And so that's why I have other I'll go back here and then I'll show you once again in our announcement section. And if I go back to the fee service levels that are actually contained in that announcement, you can see right here, I have a bronze plan that is document review only. So in the bronze plan, I go through all of the documents that you'll use to submit your application, and I still give you the course at $497 for free. So that 30-minute initial consult, then 2 follow-up emails, and then 1 hour after consult to go through whatever documents that you have. So that's $1,000. And then the silver plan is the review of your profile, EAPR, and your documents. And then the gold plan is when you just want complete peace of mind all the way through to conclusion. And then I actually submit your application through my own representative portal, and it covers all of these services. All right, so that is how it is structured. Okay, let's see if we can find, get back here where we're viewing this properly. Okay, let's try and go back to the main screen. Okay. And go back here and check up the comments. Okay. All right. Let's go down to where we were at. And we're just about done here, guys. And then we're going to wrap up here. Okay. Just about done. Okay. And Kush says, hi, Markin. Okay, so we've got the review documents, complete profile. No, there's my link. Okay, Arad says, thanks, Mark. God bless. And Jasdeep says, Mark, I can trim your video and make multiple video topic-wise. Let me know. Jasdeep, I may very well engage your services, my friend, because there's so much awesome content in here that people just don't see. And generally speaking, people are not really interested in watching a full hour and however long we've been doing this, hour and 16 minutes. They just are not as interested in doing that. So anyways, I hope this week the people that were here got their questions answered and it was helpful to them. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, I hope that this week was a beneficial one for you too. I think it really was awesome. So Jasdeep, yeah, let's connect offline, and if you're able to split it out and kind of create some things for me, maybe we can work something out. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, and I appreciate you tuning in. Once again, this is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, signing off and wishing you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call express entry. Take care. Bye.